Started from the bottom, now we looking top tier. Know that we the chose, so they made us feel the fear. I see God appear when I look into the mirror. I know that I'm chose, yeah. And it's time to give us back the identity they stole. Rest in peace to the nigga that they try to make a me. Gotta elevate these bones, cause we the stand. Waking up the dead so they finally understand it. Now look at what is wrong, cream of the crop. No matter the problem, we rising to the top. I'm the progeny of God stand.
Hey, assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of the God Standard podcast. This is episode number 10, New Mind, New Woman, New World, with your sister, my sister, Yaterah Mahdi. Did you guys get that intro? I'm so happy about it. I'm so excited about it. It's another new and if you heard it, if you recognize the voice, that's our sister Hekaba Mecca on the audio track, specifically for the God Standard podcast. So praise be to Allah for that. If this is your first time on the show, if this is your first time listening, watching, this is the God Standard podcast where I aim to spread light and life to the original people of the planet by sharing the stories of people who are just like you and me and who have used the teachings to, advance their life, advance their spirituality, advance their community, etc., and essentially just become the gods in their own respective lane. Okay. If you have come across this, please, if you're curious about the Nation of Islam, if you want to know more, if you have any questions about something specific that was said on this podcast, please feel free to reach out to me and I will more than happily direct you to your local mosque as my guest. Okay, so with no further ado, thank you, Sister Yaterah, for coming on the podcast.
Ma'am, thank you for having me.
I'm just going to do a quick intro for those who may not know who you are. So Sister Yaterah Mahdi is a 32-year young servant, wife, and mother of 4. As a disciple of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and in using the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, has built herself as an entrepreneur, homemaker, homeschool teacher, and student. This sister is a warrior and true soldier who loves the truth and fights boldly for what is right. And I bear witness to that, okay? She is fearless, loves communication, so much so that she uses it as a means to help and heal our people. She is in love with God, his messenger, his word, and his people. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you.
Okay, so when I was trying to come up, so I always go by the bio and then come up with like, I don't even want to say I come up with, I pray about like what the subject is going to be, like what the title of the show is going to be, okay? And it just like comes to me. And what came to mind for you is this: New Woman, New Mind, New World. And then I was like, okay, so should New Mind go first or should New Woman go first? What should go first? And because it's Allah's, like I put in Allah's hand, like I just left it as it was. But I want to ask you, what do you think comes first in ultimately a new world? Is it the new mind or is it the new woman? How do you like?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. I mean, I think that I would put it the mind, because that's when we look at it from the perspective of how we have been taught, like before the coming of Master Prophet Muhammad, the world that is in existence right now is based on the mind of Yaqub's man. Right. So I don't know how deep into science we're going to get, but I just want to say that with that thinking, then when Master Prophet Muhammad, the perfect God, the God who establishes the hereafter, his kingdom, when he comes to make his world, he first brings us his mind and asks us to give him our mind. Therefore, a new man and a new woman is made from the mind. And then through the people come the world. So that's just my interpretation of it, though.
Right. No, I can agree with that. That's what I was thinking, right? Because even, and listen, we can go all the way in. We can
Okay,
go all
good.
the way in, right?
Yes.
Because Allah had to put his mind in the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, right?
That's
And
right.
that was a man. So it has to be the mind first. And he taught women. And of course we're taught that, you know, as women, as mothers, you know, to teach a woman, to teach a man, you teach an individual, and to teach a woman, you teach a nation, right? Or a community, or however you want to say it. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that one, for sure. So can you teach or speak about your experience in coming into knowledge for yourself and coming into the Nation of Islam, and how it's like affected your life?
Wow. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So let me go back to kind of where I came from and fast forward to where I am. So I was born in Judaism. My father was a rabbi. And long story short, my parents divorced. So we grew up under the title Jew, but we're not practicing Jews. So as I looked at the world of religion, I'm like, okay, here we are, you know, we're Black Jews, but not living the life, not keeping anything of the, you know, so-called religion or practices of Judaism. I'm in public school. I'm seeing, you know, I have friends. My friends are so-called Christians, right? And with that, I'm seeing their life. And it's like, okay, you know, everybody claims God with a different title, but I don't really see God, you know? So I got to a point where I just was like, God, he must not be real. You know, I don't see God. I was reading the scripture as a young girl, and I remember crying specifically as I was reading the story about Abraham walking with God and being a friend of God. And I remember reading that. I had to have been like 8 or 9 years old and crying because I'm like, God, how can you be so real for Abraham? How can you know him face to face? How can you walk with him? How can you be his friend? But today, I don't know you. Why can't I see you face to face? You know, why can't I have that relationship with you? And it really like broke me as a little girl, and I didn't have the answer then. So fast forward to the point where I just was like, I don't really believe in God, because I didn't have anything to make God real in my life. I just was living the life, right? Whatever that means. And I finally had gotten to a point where I started looking for him again. And I was going to my friends' churches, and I was going, and they would tell you to close your eyes, and if you want to accept Jesus Christ in your heart, raise your hand. And I'm like, eyes closed, yes, pick me. And I'm like, where's the magic? When is the light coming on? When am I gonna feel it? Nothing's happening. My hand is raised. Don't you see it? So I just kept leaving empty, 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 empty. So again, all part of the giving up journey. But one day I was laying on the floor in my room, and I just kind of like looked up to the ceiling, thinking about the sky and the universe. And I'm like, God, if you're real, you need to let me know. And within that time frame, the sister who brought me into the nation, her name is Sister Angel Muhammad. She asked me, she had actually been asking me to come out to a Nation of Islam meeting,
Right.
but I kept being this Jew, right? I'm like, no, Muslims, you guys are crazy. I was so ignorant, of course.
Yeah.
So I kept refusing it. Then when I made that request, asking Allah to show him, I used the word, God, if you're real. She then asked again, but she said, well, it's going to be a youth night with all of our, with youth. So my sister was coming. Some of our friends from high school were coming. So I was like, oh, okay, if the whole crew is going, yeah, I'll go. I went, and it was a Thursday night. And that night we were talking about this. The study material was, who is God? Oh my God. What? Can you say my prayers were answered that day?
Right.
I was ready to join then. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was pretty much it. They asked me if I was ready to join at that time. I looked at my sister. She was like, no. I was like, well, we'll see. We came back on Sunday, and I went to St. Petersburg, heard the lecture there by student minister, Brother Ali Muhammad at the time. And When they asked for acceptance, I was like, I'm all in. Haven't looked back. So
Right,
that was
right, right.
12 years ago.
Praise be to Allah.
Crazy to a lot.
You're actually the second person that I remember, but I think there were others who said that basically they had a question and then came to the meeting and their questions were like exactly answered like when they
Wow.
got there. So I bear witness to that even for myself because you know I had my own journey through religion, being Catholic, born again Christian. Like I grew up Catholic, then I was born again Christian, went and got baptized, you know, all these kinds
Wow.
of things, grew up with Muslim friends. And I always had questions and I'm a very inquisitive person. So I ask questions and then I ask follow-up questions and follow-up questions. And nobody could answer my questions. And the Nation of Islam, because it's broken, like Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam. It's broken down in a way where I'm like, I already knew this, but like you told me, you said it back to me and it made perfect sense. So like now it all makes sense, you know? So
Yeah.
yes, I bear witness
Beautiful.
to that for sure. Okay, so I wanna get into, you know, new mindedness. I just made up
Okay.
that word, new mindedness.
I love it.
Um and you know, I love talking to you as my sister just because I feel like the way that you think is very solution oriented and it's very similar to how I think because I dislike when people complain. One thing about me, I dislike a complainer because it's like if we're gonna complain about it, okay, let's talk about it. We can talk about it. That's okay. But like, what are we gonna do about it? Like, how are we gonna solve the problem, right? So I really love that attribute of yourself, right? Ourselves. And I want to ask you, like, why do you think it's important to one have problem solving skills, and two, what are some ways that we can develop problem solving skills, especially in a world where in school we're not really taught to think that way per se. But how do you think that we could develop that, and why is it important?
Wow, that's beautiful. Okay, so why do you think it's important to have problem solving skills first?
Mhm.
That's a beautiful question. And to me, the answer that came to my mind like immediately was Islam is mathematics, mathematics is Islam. When you take that formula, when you take that equation, that what are you saying? Like life is about peace, evolution, growth, development, reaching this eventual perfect world. So mathematics, then you have an equation, something on either side of the equal sign, right? So this is about problem solving. That's what peace is. Peace is problem solving, right? So you have a mess on one side that you don't have the answer to. Solving it is what gets you the understanding. It gets you um it gets it's like that is the formula to enliven us, because that puts us in communication with the world. It puts us in communication with things. It puts us in communication with people when it's like, oh, on any level, you can use any kind of example. Oh, our oceans, people care about the oceans being polluted. Okay, get in communication with that. Solve it for peace. Like if that's a problem, the mind who is attracted to that problem, go solve it. The air, the air is not so pure. The food, people in their marriages, relationships, children, you name it, buildings, whatever. There's a problem. Solving these problems with the right mind puts us in the world of peace, and that's the goal. So to your second follow-up question to that, how does one basically go about, like, how would one go about obtaining the skills to
Right,
problem
like
solve?
the skill. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's a weighty question. The word that keeps coming to my mind is asking, or the words asking questions, right?
Right.
Being aware, you know, being conscious. And when I use the word conscious, because that's a word that kind of is getting thrown around, you know what I mean? So I just mean, being alive and being sensitive enough to notice that, like, because we notice things. Even in our, in the Nation of Islam, we might use the term dead state, right? Before knowledge, before coming to this knowledge. So even, as we are without the supreme wisdom that we have in the nation, there's things that we still see. If we as a people, whomever is listening, as a person individually, when you sense something, when you see something, don't allow, because the world likes to desensitize us, we see killings, we see mistreatment, we see negative things so regularly, it's just a thing. It's just, oh, another bad accident, another death, and it's just regular.
Right.
But when we become sensitive to the thing, not emotional, there is a difference. But when we become sensitive to it, now it's like, wow, why is there so much child abduction? Why is there so much rape? Why is there so much sickness and disease? Why is there so much war? Notice the thing.
Right.
Ask questions about why. Ask the question why. And then that would lead you on a journey to, like you mentioned earlier, getting that answer. And when you ask the question, that alone opens you enough to be receptive to an answer if you ask the question.
Right.
So that's kind of what I would say. Go with it. Once you ask, go. Don't put up your guards. Allow the answer to come, and then keep moving until you get to the solution, until you get to peace. So that would be what I say to that question.
Wow. Man, every time I speak to you, it's like you help me go deeper and deeper into understanding, because I never made the connection between, or maybe I just never thought about it deeply enough, but the connection between problem solving and asking questions, right?
Wow.
And it makes me think of children and how children are so inquisitive and they ask questions, but why is this? But why is that? But and then when you tell them the why, it's like, but why? Like, but really why? Like, And I think a lot of times as parents, and I know for me growing up, like, because I was always that child that asked a million questions, but that's their way of understanding the world, right? But a lot of times as parents, we like shut our children up or don't allow them to be free in asking, kind of, so to speak. And then I could see how that could diminish that spirit in them of being a young god and problem solving and really understanding their environment and their world, right? So that to me is really, really important to consider.
Thank you so long.
So that being said, how do you, in terms of like how you raise your children, like how do you allow them to answer questions? Like how do you frame certain things about the world so that they see it as like, this is my world, I can build it, I can create, I can solve problems? How do you do that?
Wow. Woo, girl, you come with these questions. Okay. I gotta think a minute. So
Okay.
yes.
Can I just before
yes.
you answer?
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to just speak to the audience for a second. Thank you to everybody who's chiming in and giving feedback and whatnot. Feel free to put your questions in there if you have any for our sister, and I will be sure to pose them to her. So sorry to cut you off, but
All good. Thank
yes,
you.
ma'am. Go ahead.
Praise be to Allah. I would say that it all starts with the home, and how they are being educated. So, like, personally, no public school, for our children, and because the public school is designed to do the exact opposite of what you just mentioned, as it relates to their minds being this open field, this fertile field, both like input and output. Like, they're receiving, they're soaking up so much, and then they're also like, hey, how does this work? So with that being said, keeping them in the home and educating them and what we do is we educate them from the basis of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Like, that's their starting point. Of course, they get reading and math and these things, but it doesn't start after these other things. Like, you get the supreme wisdom, you get the Holy Quran, you get Message to the Black Man, Our Savior Has Arrived, Fall of America, How to Eat to Live. Everything that I guess I could say it like this: how we help to shape them is the same way that I would give information to a brother or sister who doesn't have the teachings, who I want to introduce them to life.
Right.
We have the conversation with our children. We don't like sugarcoat or wait to
Right.
expose them to things as it relates to food, how many times a day they eat. We give it to them. If we have it, it's theirs to have.
Right.
So doing that just encourages, and that alone just triggers their asking of questions, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
so when they do start asking questions, we engage them. Now, like you said, I think it's good to mention this right here before I continue, that like you mentioned, children, they can ask, and then they can ask, and then they can ask.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
there might be times where it's like, let's address this at this time, because
Right.
now this time is for this, you know. So you might have to do some kind of redirecting. It doesn't mean that because your child is just asking that you always just have to stop and just you won't get anything done that way.
Right.
But when you um when you even if you're taking note of their questions, allow them to ask. And the biggest thing that I would say is, if I don't have the answer, I don't make up something to give them.
Right. Right.
Let me
Right.
see, you know what I'm saying? Let's go check with your father, or, you know, let's go find a lecture from the minister, or let's get our dictionaries out. You know, let's go find the answer.
Right.
And that's the other side of them asking questions and allowing them to ask questions. And the answer is not just answering their questions for me personally, but also to show them how to go get it.
Mm.
And
Right.
sometimes there's questions that they may ask that, you know, how do I say it? They can ask a question that, if they were to break it down, they have the answer, but
Right.
sometimes they just want to have somebody else to answer it or give it to them. Noticing that as well is good, because then you can, for example, if they're asking like, well, why don't we eat French fries? Okay, do you know what a French fry is made out of?
Mm.
Potatoes. Oh, okay. Well, what does the most honorable Elijah Muhammad say about potatoes?
Right.
Oh, too much starch, whatever, you know. And then so now they're like, oh, so here's that. And then I'm breaking this down into it and helping them to comprehend what they're reading or what we're discussing. So
Right.
I think that's pretty much the whole cycle of, you know, asking and asking them. Even in my teaching methods to my children, I don't just start a class with, this is what it is, read this, this is what that is, and know this and know that. No, you know, what does Savior mean to you? You know, what does this mean to you? How do you see that? Asking them questions to get them thinking about things and building from that way too. So
Right. 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 I love that. I love that. Because it's like this world, it's like the not even this world, but the education system is like teaches them what to learn. And in homeschool, like even for me too, it's like I'm trying to teach my children how to learn. So when they have curiosities, they can go out and get this information themselves, right? So
yeah.
it's the same thing. I love that. It's so important because the new world is coming through them. You know what I mean? It's coming through us to them, but they are the new world, right? So it's important,
Absolutely.
incumbent on us to instill that in them and invest in their minds, right? I love that. I love that. So I made a post this morning and it was talking, I know you're into like entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And it was about money. And it was basically about, because I'm starting to starting to realize that and just make connections between like my children and what it was like for me growing up and the view around money. What is
Mm.
money? How do we use money? What is money for? And I basically asked the question, like, at what age did you start becoming like conscious to money? What age did you think like, okay, I have to go and get money, right? And I realized that for some people, they don't think about money until they're up in age because they don't have certain needs. They don't have like their needs are met in certain ways by their parents, right? Whereas for others of us is like our needs are not met. So money becomes like a pressing need at a very tender age where it probably shouldn't even be like a thing, right? Um, so could you share your view on money as it pertains to like the new world, as well as like maybe what do you feel is the best way for us to teach our children about money coming into like keeping in mind that they're inheriting the new world?
Ooh, wow. Sis, you did not come to play.
Sis Yaterah?
Okay, are we here? Y'all let me know in the comments. Can y'all hear us?
You're
Okay,
back.
are we
You're
still?
back.
Okay,
Yes,
it's
ma'am. You're
me.
good.
Okay, so sorry. On there. Okay, so I guess your question, my whole body is nervous, and so the energy is messing with everything.
Energy is real,
Okay,
man.
yeah, energy is real. Okay, well, praise be to Allah. When it comes to money as it relates to the new world, um, it's funny because I just saw your post this morning, and when you just reset it, if I was to answer it, I'm looking at money from two different time periods, right?
Right.
And I'm looking at it from prior to 2018, where that would have dealt with the dollar, right?
Right.
And so my mom, we used to have like little bank conversations with us about, this is how you open a bank account, this is how you save, and that, like, we probably did that like one time, and that was my like probably my first, I don't know how old I was, very young, elementary probably. And so that was that. Then I got into high school, and I'm like, you know, I like to eat. And so I need to be able to buy food.
Right. Right.
I love eating. So so I wanted a job at that time, and I just wanted to have it so I could eat, and then I used to get paid. I started working when I was 14. I used to get paid under the table. So it was cash. And, I worked, good hours. So I would cash my checks. I mean, I was probably like $300 or $400 a week, but it was like a wad of cash like that.
Right.
And I liked the way it looked. It was like cool. I really had no purpose other than to buy food. I didn't do things like, I didn't go and get my hair done, nails done. Like, I just didn't do that. I hung out with my
Right.
friends and I ate.
Right.
So like that was that. But when I'm looking at money in the new world in 2000 and probably in 2018, maybe even 17, I was listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he's talking about money, right? And like, paper is currency and money is gold.
Right.
That started, like, he started talking about us having gold, and I was like, oh, I need to get gold.
Right.
So when I think about as it relates to the new world, it just kind of goes back into like the why. Well, that made me want to understand the dollar more. Well, what is the dollar and how does it work, and why is that considered money? And what is the dollar's beginning? Because it wasn't here all the time, and the world was not existing on the dollar before for things. So how is it that this paper rules the world? Okay. And then taking that and looking at the new world, it's like the world, like I said, by the dollar ruling the world, the people are enslaved to it. You know, as conscious as the people are becoming about something as simple as homeschooling, more and more parents are wanting to homeschool their children. Well,
Right.
that should be a simple thing. Oh, I want to do it, then you do it. What comes up though? Oh, but if I'm home with my children, then I don't have any money to, or currency rather, but to keep a roof over our heads.
Right.
So now I'm conflicted. And what's up with that, basically? So this world is designed to have us going and coming for the almighty shekel, for the almighty dollar.
Cool.
And and as opposed to the new world, with even understanding that concept of what money is,
Right.
and I'll just say this part, because there's some things that are similar about currency and money, but the difference maker about the two is that money holds its value
Right.
over a period of time, right? So it's a store of value. So you have $100 bill from 1913. You could have gotten a whole lot with that $100 bill.
Right.
And then today, that $100 bill, you ain't getting just about nothing with it, right? Like, you can't fill up a basket from Publix, okay, with that
Oh
$100
man.
bill. It's
Right.
crazy. So that alone makes that not money. But then when you have gold, you can take an ounce of gold, and what you could buy for that ounce of gold in 1913, you could buy that same thing, you know, but if it was a car then, it's a car now, you know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
knowing that, it's like, okay, well, what does that have to do with the new world? Well, there's justice there. Somebody can't have a monopoly on, you know, if I have my gold, right? If I have my money, and in other words, with the dollar, I should say this first. Right now, people might have $100, 200, 1,000, 10,000, $100,000 in their bank account being saved.
Right.
But so long as the Federal Reserve can press a button and continuously print it, well,
Right.
that hurts your dollars that you have saved,
Right.
right? Because now it doesn't have the same buying power. But if I have my gold, what can somebody do to affect my goal? Nothing. I can
Right.
take my goal wherever and get it whatever I need to do. So you can't hurt me.
Right.
In a world operating like that, how free are the people to say, you know, I want to do this thing. I want to homeschool my children. I want to travel the world. I want to anything. You know, like we look at how many people say that they want to do things, but money is a factor
Right.
or currency is a factor because what it does to the mind. And then it makes us like it really cripples us because it makes us operate on an individualistic
Right.
type of thinking. The
Right.
new world is not based on individuals.
Right. Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So you go to school and you get a good degree and you get a good job or career or start your own practice. And then you do what? You don't do anything. You know, that what does that do for the next generation? Even your children can't inherit your dentistry, your
Right.
practice unless they desire to. And then they still have to go and get their degree to do that as well. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So when I'm thinking about new worlds, I'm thinking about kingdom building. When I'm thinking about these things, money in its proper sense allows us to really secure ourselves,
Right.
and it allows us really true freedom because then we can start thinking. I wanted to say thinking period. I was going to say thinking outside the box, but there
Right.
is no box.
Right.
The dollar puts us in a box to
Right.
where it's
Right.
like,
Right.
I would love to do these things, but I can't. But if everybody has the knowledge and the know-how and the possession of these things, it makes us start to think on a united front.
Right.
I'm not looking to just, you know, have for my own or have for myself. I'm now looking to answer this love for other people now, my people. And now we all can do. I'll close with this.
Yes.
This thing about the dollar, I'm telling you, it just makes us so selfish
Right. Right. Right.
because everything is like, you know, where can I get me in? It's a money grab, quote unquote, using the term, you
Right.
know, it's just about how I can get ahead.
Right.
When that is not a factor,
Right.
now it's like, how can you and me, how can we win? How can we come together?
Right.
It no
Right.
longer becomes about, oh, how much am I gonna get? How much? Like that's so irrelevant. But that's
Right.
what the dollar has done to us. Part of what has been done to us. So
Right.
I hope I've answered the question because that was really a loaded question,
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
especially
ma'am.
as it relates to the new world and things. And I'll just say this too with the children. In
Right.
teaching that, we teach this to our children off gate. They see the dollar, and the three things that they can call a dollar is currency, paper, and trash, right?
Right.
I mean, you know, cash is in there, the dollar's in it, that's fine. But
Right.
they don't call it money. And
Right.
then they see, you know, we have gold, we have silver.
Right.
What is this? It's money. So for them to know the difference and
Right.
knowing you won't work for this. You know, you don't give the life that you have and trade it for a piece of trash. It doesn't
Right.
make sense. We understand that we have that the circumstances cause us to do it. We get that, right?
Right.
And teaching the new world, the children, we have to teach them what's what and then prepare them how to not have to be subjected to that life. So
Absolutely.
with that,
Absolutely. It speaks a
so,
lot. That is so beautiful.
alhamdulillah.
Yes, ma'am. No, and I love that because I know you know the story, but I love when you brought that opportunity to me, and I'm just like, with the money, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, and you're just like, so what? Like, so what? Just do it. Like, so what? Just do it. And I did it because for me, the money was like at the forefront of my mind. The currency was at the forefront of my mind, and for you, it was just like a non-factor. And the way that you thought about that as a non-factor, it was just like no brainer, you know? So I see how having, when we think about it a certain way, it's like, this is not really an obstacle. It's like the illusion of an obstacle that really does not have to be an obstacle. It's like, okay, you might not have this currency, but 50 people that also have currency. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have a skill that can render you currently, you know what I mean? So I 100% bear witness to the fact that, like, we it's slavery. It reminds me of I'm not sure if you've seen it, and the audience watching, I'm not sure if you all have seen it, but it's like a picture of a horse that's like tied to a chair. Like, so this big horse is tied to like a plastic chair. Like, it's tied. I don't know what it's. I want to say noose. That's not. I don't know what it's called. Anyways, the thing that's on a horse, it's tied to the chair, and it stays there. It just stands there because it thinks it's tied to something. But literally, the chair weighs 5 pounds, and the horse weighs the horse could just walk away. But because in its mind it thinks that it's attached to this thing, it stays there. And that kind of makes me think of how money is, because that's literally like we're entrapped because we've accepted that, okay, yeah, it's this big problem, you know? So yeah,
Beautiful analogy.
I
Yes,
appreciate you sharing that. Beautiful. Okay, so I know you have work to do and time is of the essence. So I'm just gonna ask one question, and like I said, if anybody has a question, if we have time, we can ask our sister. But the last thing is, I don't know. You share how much you want to share about like where you are and what you're doing, but I want to talk about like traumas and how, one, they affect us, and two, how dealing with them will help us inherit the new world, will help us help our children inherit the new world, and how, like, it's really of the utmost important for us to kill the devil within ourselves. And when I say the devil, I mean our lower selves, our traumas, those things that hold us back from living a full life and living life fully as ourselves. So why do you think that's so important for the new world?
wow, sis, loaded question. You want to make this the last question? This is crazy. Oh my god. Every single question. What's the next one? Yeah. This is the bang for real. Okay, so I'll start with saying where I'm at. Right now I am in Clearwater. I'm at the Church of Scientology at Flagship, which is like the top facility out of all of the churches locations across the world.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm here I'm a course. I'm getting audited. I'm going clear. I'm going clear. I'm gonna be clear. I'm clear. As Sister Yaterah would have me to say. I love that, Sister. Thank you, Sister Yaterah. That's cool. Okay. So, wow. What do you want me to say? Okay, I think I got it.
Okay. No, I was just going to repeat it. So, why do you think healing our traumas and dealing with our traumas is so important to inherit the new world?
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. It's so important because that's the trauma, the devil, the issues that we have is stopping us from inheriting it, right? Like, I just want us to put this in perspective, right? I have a book here that it's my journal, but it looks like a Bible. So like let's just say we have our Bibles, we have our Qurans, we have our Torah, right? And the word of God is in there. And the solution to problems is written in there. And yet the world is in the condition that it's in. And it's like, why? Well, back to the beginning of this conversation, as we were talking about the mind, we were discussing how the world that is in existence right now comes out of the mind of a man whose ideas and thoughts are contrary to that of the originator of the heavens and the earth, God, the peace and the unity and the perfection that could be. When I think about that question that you have asked as it relates to trauma, wow, how can God is asking us, Master Fard Muhammad, this is the man who we in the Nation of Islam say and believe and know is God in person, who has come to give us his mind and for us to give him our mind. What I am learning here, and I have my Dianetics book, which I do want to pull out because this is, the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is perfect, right? The teaching, the Nation of Islam is perfect, all wise, right, and exact. When you go into these books by our brother L. Ron Hubbard, you're able to see the congruency of the teachings.
Right.
There's a chapter here that's entitled The Demons. And this is going into the reactive mind. And there's another chapter here called The Reactive Mind. And this is all to that question. This is really a loaded question because as it relates to our trauma, we are literally in our own way. There's back to that 100%. Horse. 100%. Yeah, 100%. Back to that horse being tied to the chair that weighs nothing. That's really not holding this chair down. We could look at that as well as with our traumas, with our pains, with our sufferings, because they're holding us back.
Right.
That's essentially what has happened to us, and we think, it's why do you have an idea to do something? Great idea. You're excited about doing it. Then the very next minute, I can't do that.
Right.
Who's gonna want to? No. You talk yourself down, you shrivel out, and now it's gone. What's going on there? What happened? There's things that we are not conscious of that have happened in our minds. And there's some things that we may be conscious of that we still may not have properly dealt with, but it's really the things that are there that we don't know is there. Mm-hmm. So then we can't handle it. We're not dealing with it. Right. We're not putting it where it's supposed to go. And this is part of rising above emotion into the thinking of God and being in a position where you can give your mind to God to say, I submit and I submit totally. Right. But when part of you or you have another mind in you that is prohibiting you from totally submitting, right, then how can you submit? Right. Unless you deal with that mind.
Absolutely.
So if you want the new world, because, this is really heavy, sis, because, as being in the nation, or just being Black in America, people, around this subject, around this place, there's so much controversy.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm all here for the controversy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a student, so it's okay. So what I'm saying is, as we're talking about bringing in the new world, and people being afraid to deal with themselves, really, because that's really all it is.
Right.
We're taught in the nation, like, even when we say our prayers, I seek refuge in the law against the accursed Satan from within myself and outside of self.
Right.
Because when you take care of that enemy, that inside of you, when you get rid of that enemy, what enemy outside of you can exist? Because if the enemy inside of you is gone, only God exists. And if God before you, who could be against you and win?
Teach.
What?
Teach.
Come on now.
Come with it.
I guess I'll say this in closing, like in terms of the new world,
right?
This is what I was going to say. The teachings is right and exact and it's perfect. So with that, you would say, and this is I kind of want to pose this for the audience where it's like, even for the skeptics, for the non-believers in the technology, or, hard to get involved with Dianetics or Scientology in general, it's like, especially for those who might have the teachings. Right. If we have the teachings, and we do, and our life is not demonstrating or not demonstrative of what it's supposed to be, because if Master Prophet Muhammad came, and he did, and he gave his mind to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave his mind to Master Prophet Muhammad, and then boom, you have a God.
Right.
And then the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad gives his mind, same mind as Master Prophet Muhammad, to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and Farrakhan gives his mind, another God.
Right.
So why aren't the children all gods? Why have we not all arrived? It's not to say that there's anything wrong with the teachings.
Right.
But the students who are not applying, who are not taking wholeheartedly, what we have been given. But then you have to ask yourself, why haven't you fully given? We can out of our mouth, we can speak and say, oh, because somebody mistreated me. Oh, because I don't like this. Oh, because so and so is not perfect. You can say that on the surface,
Right.
because your conscious mind is going to find some kind of justification. But your reactive mind, the devil mind, the mind that we need to get rid of,
Right.
has another thing going on. But you don't
Right.
even you're not even aware of that. If you think that you know the problem that you're faced with, then it's not the reactive mind,
Right.
because that deals with the unconscious part of things that you are not in contact with. So with that, I would say that get rid of your traumas, heal on purpose,
Right.
do the work, period.
Right.
That's just the solution. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Do what you need to do. Put yourself in the arena, in the space, in the centers, in the healing zone that forces you to heal. Because if by you staying away, oh, I'm not going there, but you at work faithfully, you at home faithfully, you at the club faithfully, you
Right.
at the school, you here faithfully, and that's not solving your problem. Get somewhere where you can see a change, even if you go in skeptical.
Right. Right.
Go
Right.
in skeptical, but
Right.
come out better.
Right.
So it's all about the new world, you know. If you want the new world, do what's required to get there. If you don't, then die with the old, you know,
Right.
or be chastised enough until change. That's up to you. But I'm one of those that don't want to come. I want to be one that's known who comes by the word alone, not
Right.
comes by the chastisement. Okay.
Right. I love that. I love that. What a great way to end off. Oh my goodness. So juicy, so good. I bear witness. No argument here. No argument here at all. And our sister posed the question to us. So if we, especially if we have these teachings, and especially if we say that we believe what we believe and we're skeptical, right? Why are we in the condition that we are in if God himself came to give us this new information, right? How? It's a question. You gotta ask yourself. Okay. So we have reached the end of our episode. I know you gotta go, sis. I appreciate your time so much. This was so juicy. We definitely 100% need to do part 2 because it can go so deep. But thank you so much. Thank you for those of you who have watched, who have posed questions, commented, etc. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching. And I pray everybody has the blessed rest of your day. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Wa alaikum salam.